Good evening, everybody. This is your host, Buffalo Trace, here with the first stream of Season 5. We have a rare treat for you guys here on a Friday night, a time slot usually accustomed to our D4 guys going at it on track. But today, something special. A little bit of a community event here before Season 5. We have two full grids. We'll be following along with Grid 1, which is our top drivers from D1 and D2 going at it in a 5-lap championship. There'll be a series of 5 laps today. We'll be keeping track of points throughout the entire way. And I'm curious to see kind of who comes out on top. A lot of new guys in D2, in D1. We have one-shot qualifying here as we see everyone get underway right now. And I appreciate you guys all bearing with me here while we get the stream set up. First broadcast for ZRL here in F122, aside from all the opening night shenanigans. So really excited to see kind of the speed here of these guys. I think we're at Silverstone here for the first track, and really looking forward to bringing you guys some action. A little bit of taste of what's to come in Season 5, which I think is going to be probably our most exciting, quickest, full of talent season yet. The draft was extremely hard, a lot of talent here, and really excited to see what kind of lap times these guys pull out. We're on with Beamer NG in the Haas as he does his one-shot quali lap. Won't have much action here with one shot. Hopefully we'll see some times posted on the board, but they'll probably all get through here at the same time as we get the grid set up for our first race. Silverstone hosted some banger races at the end of the season throughout all divisions. I know we had a couple of them in mixed conditions, including D4, which I was lucky enough to go into myself. And we've had some great racing here in the past. So it's a perfect opener, and as the first time start rolling in, Lewis Piper, Mercedes driver extraordinaire. Oh, wait a second. Actually, a Red Bull guy choosing the Mercedes seat. A little bit of signals there, maybe, for some rumblings in the Discord chat that he's not happy with his Red Bull seat. I don't know. Maybe I'm exaggerating. We'll see. As we're on with Beamer, he finishes 6th. It looks like Lewis Piper does wrap up pole from what we can see with the one-shot qualifying. So the Red Bull driver, currently in a Mercedes car today, sets pole with a 127.3, 3/10 ahead of Ian Krieger, who, if you've been paying attention to the time trial leaderboards, Ian Krieger has been lighting it up ahead of such names as Jarno Ottmeyer, Barry Barmond, and some of your favorite esports guys. Ian's been lighting it up, and he's been grinding. So only good for first row here. One shot in Silverstone as we do a 5-lap shootout. As we get this one underway, and rain is falling in Silverstone. So happy to have some mixed weather conditions. I'm not sure how mixed they're going to be. We'll see if it's inters or wet tires that show up here. I don't even know if 5 laps is enough for a mixed conditions race. So we'll see kind of what happens here. I know our track list today, we're going to start off here in Silverstone, followed by Singapore, Abu Dhabi, the new layout. And we're all really excited to get back down there. Get rid of that kind of tricky first few turns going before the straight. Followed by Imola and Austria. So 5 lights and away we go. Let's hop on here with whoever's in P4 with BuzzGod. We're currently in P5 now. Here as we adjust the camera type, and everyone's on intermediate tires. Lewis Piper got away well, followed by Ian Krieger. BuzzGod here trying to make a move with Razor on the inside. Razor makes P3 stick. He's got the inside line into turn 4, and we have a yellow already. Maybe someone around. We'll try And I appreciate Josh Barnsley in chat alerting me to switch the stream scene over. So I'm not sure how long that's been like that, but hey, Buffalo's learning on the fly here, solo in the booth, trying to make it happen. So if we couldn't see, it sounded like I was talking to an empty room there for God knows how long, but Ian Krieger, fastest lap, comes out with the win, 26 points. Lewis Piper with 18, Razor with 15. Again, only the top 10 drivers are going to come away with points. About to head to Singapore. One-shot qualifying here. Street circuit. Rain definitely possible. Already saw rain once. I'm curious to see if it's going to come out again, either for quali or for the race. As you wait for everyone to load in here. Singapore is a track that I don't believe is on our calendar here for D1. Or sorry, Season 5 rather, as one-shot quali is underway. Trying to hop on here with someone on their hot lap here. We're on here with Corrupt. And we'll see if we can get the telemetry here as well. No rain so far. Now we're on with Ian, last race winner. He was P2 qualifying here. Now, Singapore is a track that I have not yet tried here in the new game. No changes, of course, from F1 2021 except for the cars, right? So I'm not sure how much grinding these guys have done here. But as we're on with Ian, based off his time trial performances so far on this game, I'd venture to guess that he's going to be pretty quick. He sets the fastest Sector 2. Of course, that can be misleading in one-shot qualifying because everybody's running here at the same time. And it looks like Ian has invalidated his lap. So in a one-shot qualifying, that looms extremely large. We'll hop on with Barney Goatmere, who I think may currently be in the lead. I don't know. Times are going to start to come up. He's right now in the lead with a 1:38.4. Really quick time here. He must have been grinding. A lot of disqualifications here for track limits. We see our previous, essentially the entire podium is out as Barney Goatmere P1 in race 2. Barney, Gator, Alex ran out your top 3, followed by League of Valve, another P4 currently. Razor, the only one on the podium, rather, now that has qualified. And we had a number of disqualifications here because of track limits. So again, it's not a track that I think these guys are really practicing all too often. Showed here, right? Not as popular as Silverstone for sure, but definitely a fun track to drive. Definitely a tricky track to drive. So the top 2 drivers now starting in the back of the grid. Appreciate you guys being patient while I work with some technical difficulties here as we get ready to have Singapore underway. So the big story here, we got P1 and P2 from last race starting at the back. Track limits in Singapore, man. Tough. Five lights, and away we go. Pole sitter Barney Goatmere gets away pretty well. We'll hop on with him as he keeps the lead going into turn 1, 2, around turn 3, followed closely by Alex Duarte and Razor, who's made up 2 spots. There's already a yellow in Sector 1. Leaky Val must have lost positions. He qualified P4, now finds himself in P18. Razor now in the middle of, go 3 wide, and there's a big incident. Big incident at the end of Sector 1. Reset the track there. It doesn't matter, a community event. We'll hop on with Gator, who seemed to get by unscathed, but huge incidents there. I wonder if damage is on, because if it is, they may see some guys coming in. Another yellow in Sector 2. Looks like Duncan or Lewis may have had an incident. Maybe it was Lewis. Currently in Mercedes there, a little bit of bump in there. There's an Alpha Tower that goes. That's Big Mama Frank. He had some issues in Silverstone as well. So the mid to rear of the pack with a lot of contact and a lot of issues early on. Barney Goatmere currently in the lead, fighting off Alex Duarte from a pole position, following that DNF in Silverstone. You don't need all the points he can get, and he's starting off really well here. Ian Krieger, meanwhile, who had started towards the back of the pack after a late disqualification, is already up to P6. Let's go ahead and take a look at the position change. Yeah, Ian up 7 spots himself. Leaky and Razor had incidents. They're down 10. Mr. Sandunga and Wild Fury, who I think might be new to the lobby. He may have just joined. They're up 6 spots apiece. Thermo up 5 himself. I believe he may have disqualified his lap. No, rather, he qualified P10. As Barney Goatmere goes around, takes the fastest lap the first time around here in Singapore. I love this track under the lights. I love how it looks. I love how it kind of feels to drive. It's very technical, right? But at the same time, I feel like it's just slightly more forgiving than Monaco. Really fun track to get around with a good group of guys and for some hard racing. Barney has opened up a 1-second lead to Alex Duarte. Now, we didn't have DRS in the last race. Rain all the time in Silverstone. So Barney is really, I mean, that's exactly what he had to do. We have a yellow in Sector 2. We'll go in there, but that's exactly what Barney wanted to do. He wanted to pull that 1-second gap. Alex Duarte, already 60% of his battery is drained, trying to keep up with Barney. Let's hop on with him. Barney's in a better battery situation than Alex. Really looks like he's got the pace advantage. A little bit of shifting mishap there. I don't know if he just forgot to shift or something. So let's hop on with some of the guys in the midfield here. Wild Fury going around there. Broadcaster's curse. I was just going to comment how he was up quite a few spots, but he spun around. Now finds himself at the back of the pack. Let's hop in with former D3 champion Nathan Doan, currently in the Alpine, trying to put pressure on Buzzgod and Sleek. Really quick drivers. Nathan will be racing Buzzgod here next season in D2. So we may see a lot more of this as we see another yellow in Sector 3. Looks like a Ferrari, or an Alfa Romeo rather, of Corrupt went in just under the bridge. Ian Krieger sets the fastest lap. He's up to P4 and only 2/10 behind Beamer, who's currently in P3 now. Beamer had a P5 last time in Silverstone. So quietly, Beamer and Ian are putting themselves in very good positions for a little 5-lap championship. Let's hop on with Beamer too. I know that Alex is pushing really hard to try to get a gap going to Barney, maybe potentially getting DRS range. We're on with Beamer, who just hit a purple Sector 1 himself, and he's going to be within DRS range potentially. Barney had an incident. Well, we're talking about Alex trying to make up the gap. Barney had an incident, very quickly reset to track. But really, he looked like he was really stretching that gap. And Barney had a shot to maybe run away with it. We have another yellow in Sector 2. as someone's around. But Alex Duarte just hanging in there. Now has the lead of the race. You have another yellow. Sector 2. Looks like Wild Fury may have gone around again. Right behind Mr. Sandunga, who's catching up to the pack himself. Alex Duarte now with the lead, but the top 3 all within DRS range of each other. After the next lap goes around, they should be able to use it. You should get 2 laps full of DRS here, and Ian is hot on the tail of that Haas of Beamer NG. Beamer super quick, put on a great show last season. Looking to put another one on here. Those rear wing flaps open. Does Ian Krieger have the pace? No, I think Beamer's DRS 2 as well to Alex is helping him keep pace of Ian, but Alex better find some real pace real quick, otherwise the DRS of Beamer at P2 and Ian at P3 is going to start to catch up to them. 3 DRS zones here in this street circuit. It's not one that you think would kind of have as much on paper, right? Can be very tight, a lot of twists and turns, very technical attack, but you got 3 really nice passing zones here that deliver some quality racing. That gap between Beamer and Alex is shrinking. Was 7/10 at one point, now is just under 6/10. Barney Goatmere, currently in P4, may be too far away to try to make a push for a podium spot. Ian is up 10 spots since his qualifying. Now, opposite problems for Leaky Valve and Razor down to P12, P13 respectively. They've both lost 8 spots, as well as Corrupt in the Alfa Romeo. He's lost 7 spots as well. So Thermo and Nathan, both in the Alpines. I don't know if they're doing any teamwork or is it just kind of a screw-around event, but maybe they can kind of work together to make up some ground here in a lap. We have another Sector 2. It looks like a Mercedes of Lewis Piper, and that is going to have huge championship implications because he was P2 in the last round. So he'll get nothing and like it here in Singapore. And I think that bodes well for Ian here in the championship. And Barney is also out of the race. We'll hop on with Nathan to see if maybe we can see some carnage. Not there. Barney DNF'd. What a shame. Just a rough turnaround for him. Qualified on pole. Looked like he was widening the gap. A small incident and Current could not recover. So Ian did make the pass on Beamer NG in P3, but while they were jockeying, it looks like that gap has been increased to about 8/10. We'll hop on with Alex. So battery is at a premium for everyone in the top 3 spots. Gator comfortably in P4. No one behind him. He's not really in striking distance of Beamer, so he looks to be okay there. Let's hop on with Nathan, who's jockeying for position with Duncan McCamick in the Red Bull. There's a little bit of contact. He causes Duncan to go around. Huge incident. We hopped in at the right time. He spun around, and that takes care of any Duncan's hopes for points. Nathan may be able to salvage a P10, but a huge incident there. Let's hop on with Ian here as we go into the last Sector 3 of the last lap of round 2 of our championship here. What a shakeup as Duncan gets a 10-second penalty for corner cutting. Looked like maybe a little bit of frustration here. I'm not sure if somebody's going to be coming at Nathan Doan here. I mean, that was looked like it could be a racing incident from our end, but nevertheless, unfortunate for everyone involved. Let's hop on with Ian here as we go. He's hot on the tail of Alex. That gap is now 2/10. He got a better exit coming into the penultimate turn. Can he make something happen? Draining that battery. He's got DRS. Not enough. Not enough runway. Alex Duarte with a strong win. He's in P1. Ian Krieger P2. Beamer P3. Gator P4. Little bit of a shakeup here on the championship side, right? 2 races in. Beamer's been pretty consistent, right? Ian with an incredible race coming in from starting, what, P13, I guess, if he's up 11 spots in a P2. Putting in an extremely strong performance. Big Mama Frank salvaging a .2 in P10. Thermo will get 2 points. He's in P9. And Sleek, who, I believe Sleek had a couple incidents maybe earlier, but he recovered nicely as well to finish P8. Two races down here as we get ready Two, and driver of the day, very well deserved, is going to go to Ian Krieger, up 11 spots with a podium. That's top tier. I'm really excited to see kind of what racing results here in Abu Dhabi with the change, of course. And I want to say it was turns maybe 3, 4, and 5, right? That kind of got revamped at the end of last year, and now we see for the first time in this game. So your podium, your winner, Alex Duarte in the Mercedes, followed by Ian Krieger, P2, Beamer NG in the Haas. P3 has been very consistent, certainly in striking distance of something in this championship. Little bit of chatter in the paddock on the quality of racing there in Singapore. I know a lot of guys got spun out, a little bit unhappy, but community event here, and I wonder if this will result in some action as we move into the first week's races. Next Sunday, of course, season really officially starts with D1, but it will be a week from today, Friday, where the first racing of Season 5 in ZRL goes down with D4. So it looks like we're locked in on Imola. I thought we were having Abu Dhabi as the next track, so may have been a little mix-up in information as we get Imola, but always good for racing. One of my favorite tracks to be on. Ian Krieger with a commanding 18-point lead. Beamer NG, 27 points himself. He's at a P4 and a P2. And Alex Duarte with the win, he's got 25 points. If you're just hopping in with us, we got a special event tonight here, right? The week before Season 5 kicks off with ZRL, we're doing a community event today. Couple grids going along. We're on with the top grid here, Grid 1. Bunch of drivers from D1, D2, going at it in a 5-lap championship series. This is round 3 of 5. Ian Krieger's looked exceptionally strong with a win and a P2. Beamer NG with a P2 and a P4. And Alex Duarte now in the conversation, just coming off a P1 in Singapore. So we'll try to find a way here to give us a good view in one-shot quali with one of our leaders, Beamer, Ian, Alex. If we could see one of their quali laps, we'll go ahead and do it. And here we are. We are underway. We're on with Beamer. Let's go for his qualifying lap as it starts. The leaderboard gets all jumbled here in one-shot qualifying as people start their laps at slightly different times, tweaking their setup. But we'll see, looking a little cloudy. Beamer goes off a little bit, still remains valid, but he'll lose some time there for sure. We'll hop on with Ian, who's the current 5-lap Bonanza Championship leader. We'll hop in with him on his quali lap. Now, Ian was disqualified from his qualifying last time in Singapore for track limits. So if he can keep it on track here, it might have a little bit easier of a race in front of him. Mr. Sandungo's retired from qualifying. He will find himself starting at the back of the grid in P17. As Ian approaches the final 2 turns, we're going to start to see some times rolling in. We'll see what the grid looks like here in race 3. Ian, no one's in the 15s. He was a 15.8. He's going to get pole. I think Razor may have hopped in there at P2. And we'll take a look at the starting grid, but Ian certainly looks good. Razor P2 with a 116.0. Buzzgot P3, 116.5. Gator, Lewis, Sleek, Thermo, Nathan, Duncan, and Alex Duarte will round out your top 10. So I think championship-wise, the ones to look at are, we'll see if Lewis Piper can have a little bit of a recovery. I think from P5, he's certainly in striking distance of P1. If he can keep it clean and without incidents, I think Razor will look to score some points here as well. Take a look at the championship standings here in between. Razor is in P4, so he's in a great position here to add on to that. Lewis, of course, was his 18 points only from the first race. DNF'd from race 2 in Singapore. So those 18 points were good from P2 and Silverstone in the rain. We'll see what the conditions start to look like here at Imola for race 3 of 5. Looks like a clear day. Should be dry. Should see the DRS kick in. Appreciate you guys hopping in and spending your Friday evening with the good guys here at Zoom Racing League. We're excited for what's probably going to be our biggest season yet. Race 3 of 5 now underway. 4 lights, 5 lights, and away we go. We'll hop on here with Ian. It looks like he may have gotten a little bit of a slow start. Let's hop in with Razor real quick. And yeah, Razor now has the lead going into turn 1. Is he going to make it stick? Lewis Piper was up 2 spots already, trying to put pressure on Razor and Ian. Razor pulls away nicely, and after the start, he's currently in P1. Nathan had a little bit of incident in Sector 1. There's a lot of shuffling going on at the end of the order. Buzzgut and Gator caught up in something. Razor currently in P1, coming out of Sector 1. There's a McLaren around. It's still Gator. He's ghosted as he tries to get back on track. Lewis Piper immediately in the fray after starting P5. And he's certainly going to be in the conversation now for a podium here. Let's get the telemetry and the position changes sorted out here. Barney up 6 spots himself. He finds himself P10. Beamer, great showing last time in Singapore. He's up 4 spots himself. Corrupt up 6. The first time we've seen one of the Alfa Romeos here in a point scoring opportunity since Singapore. Leakey had finished P5, I believe. Razor takes the lead around the last turn, and he will cross the line in the lead, taken from Ian Krieger at the top of the race. We got another yellow in Sector 3. Looks like Duncan may be involved in an incident, maybe Thermo's involved in an incident, and maybe another McLaren, or that could be Mr. Sandunga, who started in the back, just getting through, taking those positions. Thank you very much. We're on with Lewis as Ian and Razor, quite a bit of wheel banging there. Lewis almost took advantage and did a double overtake there. He'll settle for P2 as Razor settles in behind him for P3, having lost 2 positions. But he's got his teammate, Big Mama Frank, ZRL's favorite admin, in P4. A little bit of a gap between Razor and Big Mama Frank. I'm not sure if BMF can have an impact here for his teammate, but he's there nonetheless. Ian in the lead again, currently P1, followed by Lewis Piper, followed by Razor. They've really been the 3 drivers to watch here. I also want to pay attention, give a little props to Beamer NG. Beamer's got P2 and a P4 as he loses P6 there to Barney Goatmere, who's up 10 spots himself from his qualifying. Beamer's having a nice showing so far in P7. Back on with Lewis, who finds half his battery gone here as we enter about 40% of the way through the race. We're starting lap 3. DRS enabled here on lap 5. 3 full laps of DRS in these 5-lap races. And Razor's got to push now. That gap is only 8/10. And he'll need to maintain that through essentially the entire lap, right? To try to keep DRS. It's really just one long DRS zone. It looks like he hit purple Sector 1 here. So Razor is doing his best to close that gap to Lewis Piper and fight for a higher podium spot. He's building the gap to Big Mama Frank, right? Who's currently 4.5 seconds behind. But BMF is leading a train of Corrupt, Barney Goatmere, Beamer NG, Alex Duarte, Leaky Val, Buzzgod goes all the way down to P11. Nathan Doan, who's pretty close himself to staying within DRS range. Now, Imola, you got to do it throughout the whole lap, right? There's really just one long DRS zone, one prime opportunity for overtaking with a detection zone there on turn 16. So if you're trying to keep that gap under 1 second, you got to do it for essentially the whole lap. Ian sets a fastest lap with a 1:16.5, and Lewis came dangerously close to losing DRS there. Razor may have. He does not have DRS going to the end of Sector 1. So Razor has to push real hard. He's got no battery left, as he currently sees P1 and P2 right off into the distance. The one battle we have going on here is Lewis, who runs wide into the gravel, and Ian Krieger, and that's huge. That opens up a 1.3 second gap to Ian, and if Ian keeps it clean, he can run away with it. Lewis essentially has to close half a second gap before that DRS zone on the last lap to have a shot. And it's opened the door for Razor, as you just made a comment there about P1 and P2 going in the distance. Maybe not. There's a yellow in Sector 2. Someone else is around. Looks like Barney may have been caught up in something, and Corrupt maybe caught up in something. They looked like they were fighting for a while over there. Leaky Valve quietly P6 here. He's up 9 spots himself. And Buzzgod in P7, who we haven't really seen a lot of Buzzgod so far. So we'll see if he can make something happen with some points. Another yellow in Sector 2. Might be Barney still trying to get it around on hot tires. Gator gets the first track limits penalty of the day. And the race to watch here is Lewis Piper. Should have been on before that, but he did not get DRS on Ian. Draining battery to get within 1 second, but he won't have another opportunity to open that rear wing. He's got to hope for essentially a mistake from Ian to make something happen. Corrupt is around there at the end of the last turn coming up to the start-finish line, so he's probably locked in P17 for the last lap. Now Lewis has increased that gap to Razor to over 1.5 seconds, so for a small minute there, we thought that Razor had a chance to maybe look at P2. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Let's hop on with Beamer NG, who's fighting tooth and nail with Big Mama Frank here, who's trying to fend him off for P4. It's a good chunk of points for BMF there. Maybe he can make an impact in the championship. As we get towards Aqua Minerale, Beamer goes a little bit wide. Beamer goes wide, and that's all Big Mama Frank needed to open up a little bit of a gap. Let's hop in with Lewis here coming into the last 2 turns to see who's going to take home the win in race number 3. And goes a little bit wide, almost into the gravel. Lewis is within DRS range, trying to drain the battery, and it's not enough. He'll finish P2. Razor in line for a strong podium P3. Big Mama Frank, can he hold on? Beamer hot on his tail. Got the DRS. Too little, too late. Beamer rounds out your top 5. Buzzgod, Alex Duarte, P6, P7. Nathan Doan at P8. Duncan Mechanic with some points at P9. Followed by Sleek, who once again quietly finds himself in P10 in a point-scoring position. Tough race for Gator, just missing out. He came down 7 spots from his quali. Thermo down 6 himself. And Corrupt and Leaky Valve, both alphas, bringing up the rear of the field. Let's get a poll up here. There are essentially really 3 contenders here to see who can come out on top after 4 races. Ian, Razor, or Lewis. Curious what you guys think. Get a poll going. 4 races down. Let's take a look at the championship points and see who's got a shot at winning. Take a look at the standings here. Ian, 71 points. Well, I guess we should really make the vote for P2. We got Beamer with 37, Lewis and Razor tied with 36. That's the real battle to watch here. I'm also looking out for a couple of these guys at the end here. Just maybe get some couple points, right? Corrupt is an extremely quick driver. He should have no problem really getting up in the points in the last race. And Barney as well. Barney with heartbreak in Singapore. Finished pole, opening up a gap. He really looked like he had that race in hand. Thermo says he keeps spinning in the chat. Yeah, hey, I'm offering some lessons, man. If you want. D4 driver extraordinaire, Thermo. Um, if you want to meet up, I can give you some pointers, some advice going into D1. That's what I'm here for. Your host, Buffalo Trace, with a glass of Buffalo Trace. Coaching D1 drivers to all levels of success. Getting ready for race 4 of 5. We're in Abu Dhabi. New Abu Dhabi. That's where I thought we were going to be last race, but the pole is essentially for P2. As we wait for this lobby to get sorted out, we'll try to hop on with someone for a quali lap. Someone maybe we haven't done yet. Try to see how they fare around the new layout of Abu Dhabi. It's definitely more fun. It's definitely less clumsy, right? That sector 1 was really difficult to kind of manage, right? I don't think that really resulted in good racing, especially going into the long straight. So this one's a little bit loopy. So everyone's starting their one-shot qualifying now. Razor is currently in P1, followed by Alex, but that's really kind of who just started first, and then there you go. So we're on with Alex Duarte. Alex, I believe, found himself in maybe P5, P6, currently in the championship. Here's that new layout, much better, a little bit smooth left-hander, different than that jumble of 2 rights and 2 lefts or something that was on the layout before. Currently, it looks like Thermo may be in line for pole. He's top of the leaderboard so far. Trying to figure out these a lot of names shuffling around, but I've seen his name stay pretty consistent up front until Ian dethrones him. So we'll see Mr. Sandunga retires again from qualifying. I wonder if he's trying his own little last to first challenge there. Sounds like that could be what it is. Duncan currently in P3 on his lap. As I say that, moves to P4. Usually a guy that we're used to seeing towards the front of the field, but hasn't been so. I know he's been the victim of a couple of incidents. Hasn't been able to bring a lot of points home in the event today. Ian sets a 123.7. That looks to be good for pole. Another handful of disqualifications, including Lewis Piper, who found himself in P2 in the championship. P3, tied for P3, if I recall correctly. 36 points, one below Beamer NG. Here, we'll take a look at the standings here as we go into qualifying. I think the big fight here is going to be for P2 in the championship. Lewis had disqualified. Let's see where Razor and Beamer qualified. Razor qualified P4, Beamer P6. So they're in better position than Lewis right now. But if Lewis can stay clean and there's some incidents, he may find himself at the front of the pack very soon. Loading up here for race 4 of 5 in our 5-lap championship bonanza here on a Friday night. Thank you guys for joining us as we get ready for season 5 of ZRL. It's going to be our longest season, I believe. I think we have 12, 13 races on the calendar. So our longest season, as you see, 3, 4, 5 lights out, and away we go. Still waiting for some players to log in, but it looks like let's hop in with Thermo, who got a great start. He's a king of great starts, and he's already opened up a little bit of a lead on Ian Krieger. Gator finds himself in P3, already a yellow in Sector 1. That's Big Mama Frank around at the first turn. He'll get up to the back of the pack, and there's another incident. Was it Duncan caught up in another one? Duncan caught up again, finds himself in P16, and that's going to be one frustrated Red Bull driver there. Thermo, though, the story so far. A great start. Opened up a lead on Ian. Best of buds, those guys are. And they'll fight for the lead here in the new layout of Abu Dhabi. Take a look at the position change there. Ian using a lot of ERS to get through Thermo. A little bit of wheel banging there, but really clean racing. Thermo, one of the quickest controller players, I think, in the league. As Ian retakes the lead, not even a lap later. It's a lot of action here in these 5 laps. Let's hop in with Thermo. Thermo in a better battery situation than Ian. May just slink behind him for a little bit. There's another yellow in Sector 3. What is it? Looks like another Red Bull. Sleek is around himself. Big loser so far. Razor now finds himself in P14, down 10 spots. He must have got caught up in an instant. But Barney and Nathan, big winners, up 5 and 6 spots themselves. But Beamer's already gotten track limits 2 laps in, so he must have hit the same turn twice poorly. And so he's got a 3-second penalty here, and in 5 lappers, that could be really tough. Gator in the McLaren. Let's see if he can make a move to push for a podium, something that narrowly awaited him in D1 last season in the Alfa Romeo. Came really, really close to podium a couple times. He is hot on the tail of Thermo and Ian. They look, they're bottoming out a lot. Sparks flying from the rear end of their car. Alex now with 2-second penalties for track limits himself. So P4, P5, both the track limits, those will even out. But Ian and Thermo are going at it here in race 4 of 5. Thermo sets the fastest Sector 2 of the night so far. As we have another yellow in Sector 3. Someone around. Looks like Alex Duarte. So Alex, who is in a position to fight for P2 in this championship, is out of it. Although those drivers, save for Beamer NG, who currently is in P2 of the championship, they've all been out of it. Lewis in P10. After qualifying at the bottom. And Ian has held on to the lead here through lap 3. So we will have DRS active here. They're coming into the detection point. Thermo should qualify for it at the end of this straight. They get by the sharp left-hander, and they will. Let's hop on with Thermo here as he has DRS. Using a lot of battery. We got another yellow in Sector 1. It's a Mercedes. It's Alex Duarte again. And Lewis may have been involved in an incident. Tough little stretch there for the Merc drivers. He takes that one turn wide. The line with that. Nathan Doan and Lewis have retired from the sessions. So that may take Lewis out of contention for P2 in the championship standings. Thermo with DRS. Ian dives bomb on the inside. Really clean racing. Nice job by Ian to give him the room. Thermo's going to make that stick. No, he's not. Ian comes around the inside and makes it stick to incredible racing. Thermo's used a ton of his battery. Ian has about 33%. Thermo with maybe 15. And while all that fighting is going on, Gator's looking to maybe take a look at P2. He goes around the outside of Thermo, draining some battery himself. Can he make it stick? Thermo pushes him a little bit wide. Still looked clean. Really close racing here from the podium spots. Duncan with a 2-second penalty for track limits. So Abu Dhabi looks to be pretty unforgiving here in terms of track limits. So while Gator and Thermo were jockeying for P2 and P3, currently held by Gator, Ian has driven up a 1.5 second gap. And that's clutch coming into DRS zone. Gator will not have DRS. Thermo will. Now, DRS is a lot less powerful, it seems, in this game. If Alex Duarte goes around and both Mercs find themselves out of contention in race 4 of 5. But Thermo with the DRS, it wasn't enough. Will this smaller DRS zone be enough to Gator? It looks like Gator got a little bit of a better exit. That gap between P1 and P2 is ever increasing. Ian in a position where he may be able to conserve battery and just be aware for a final push if Gator gets that close. Let's hop on real quick with Big Mama Frank and Barney Goatmere ahead of him. There's a very small DRS train going between P7, 8, 9, and 10. We'll check in with those guys after, see if they get to Sector 1 there. And we can see some of their race in action as Thermo gets a 2-second track penalty himself. So that looms extremely large for Gator. Gives him a ton of breathing room. He's already opened that gap up to about 8/10. Mr. Sandunga is disqualified for the session for penalties. May have been some corner cutting or something there. I don't even know. But I think this really changes the game for someone like Garrett Elder, right? They were opening that gap pretty significantly. It didn't look like Garrett really had a shot at a podium. Now it may. He's essentially 4/10 from a podium if he can close that gap to Thermo. He'll have to balance his ERS very, very carefully, and Thermo's going to have the advantage of DRS on Gator. We're on the last lap here. Getting to the last detection zone. Ian will get past it without Gator having DRS to put pressure. He's draining the last of his battery to try to get close to maybe have a battle with Ian, but more importantly, to stay clear of Thermo. Now, I can't see Thermo pushing too hard race-wise to get something in front of Gator. It just won't work with the penalty. But he's looking at that gap between himself and Garrett Elder in P4 because he wants the podium. We're on with Ian, who's just had a dominating performance here in Grid 1 and the community event. That's another penalty for Thermo. He will probably lose the podium, maybe find himself in P6. Gator with the first podium of the day for him. He gets a P2. Garrett up to P3. Thermo will make P4 stick. Beamer P6 after penalties, followed by Leaky Val, Big Mama Frank, Barney, Goatmere, and Razor round out your top 10. Duncan unfortunately caught up in some incidents along with Sleek, and both of them find themselves out of the points. BuzzGod quietly driver of the day. I think he found himself in P5. Really good performance from BuzzGod. We will check out what the standings look like here following race 4 of 5. Ian, Gator, Garrett Elder round out your podium. Great showing from the Williams team principal. You get P3 there and some good points. Thermo at P4 after his penalties, followed by BuzzGod, Beamer, Leaky, Big Mama Frank, Barney, Goatmere, and Razor. Look at these standings. Alex Duarte finds himself maybe out of contention for P2 in the standings. Razor has 8 points to make up to Beamer if he can do it. Lewis would need a win. Lewis has got 2 DNFs now. It's I don't know how he has 36 points. There is impressive. Gator now in contention for something big too. He finds himself with 36 points after a strong P2. Alex Duarte with some ground to make up. Everyone now currently in the lobby does have points. Looks like we may have lost Corrupt in the shuffle, but everyone driving has achieved points in some capacity. Yeah, Thermo had a great fight with Ian there at the end. Shame that penalties took you out of the penalty spot, out of the podium spot rather. Really exciting racing throughout. That was a good one. That was a banger of a race in New Abu Dhabi. Absolute banger. will wrap up tonight's festivities in Austria. Coming off the actual F1 race, which I thought was a banger in and of itself in Austria. A lot of action there. And we'll see. It looks like Ian essentially, yeah, I think mathematically actually he's got this championship in the bag. So we'll be watching Beamer, Razor, Gator, Alex Duarte fighting for P2, 3 in the standings for our little Friday night championship here. But nice refreshing event here before season 5, which is going to be not only our biggest season in terms of talent, divisions, drivers, but it's also going to be our longest season. We got 12 races on the calendar. A lot of time for quality drivers to make themselves known and consistent drivers to see themselves do well throughout the course of the season. For the last time tonight, we'll try to hop on with someone relevant here in qualifying. I might go on with Gator, who all of a sudden finds himself in contention after that P2. So let's see who we can hop on with. Leaky quietly was in contention too for a nice midfield spot in the championship. He's currently leading. Mr. Sandunga, is he ahead of Paul there? No, he finds himself tumbling down the order, and a familiar face in Ian Krieger currently is in the lead in his pole lap. We are on with Razor now. We'll get him in the TV pod for his qualifying lap to see if he can put in a good performance and maybe take P2 away from Beamer and G, who's been very consistent through all 4 races. Really strong performances. So quite a battle here for best of the rest following Ian Krieger. Not a lot of turns here at Austria. I think 10 total turns. You really got to throw it into each of them to make sure you take advantage, right? You'd think, oh, 10 turns, easy, simple track, but each turn just looms so large in terms of time loss, right? A lot of disqualifications there. Razor is going to take P1 with a 105.2, followed by Thermo with a 105.3. Leaky rounds out top 3. Nathan Doe will also start on the second row alongside Leaky. So prominent disqualifications there. Ian, it doesn't really matter. He locked it up anyway. Duncan, too, has had unfortunate championship runs so far, will also start at the back. So Ian found himself in the top 10 after disqualifying. But your top 9, rather, everyone who set a time, Razor, Thermo, Leaky, Nathan Doan, first 2 rows. Garrett Elder coming off a podium, starts P5, followed by BuzzGod, Big Mama Frank, Mr. Sandunga, and a Beamer NG in the Haas. Take a look at the standings one more time to see who could be in contention for P2, P3 in the championship standings. We'll be watching Beamer and Razor throughout a lot of the race. Gator is hot on their tail. And Alex Duarte is still, of course, after that really strong win in Singapore, he's in contention too. We'll get another poll set up here on who can finish P2 in the championship here on this Friday night. Will it be and while we're doing that, they're already away. Thermo got along really well as I was trying to set up that pole in front of Razor. So Thermo is the king of really quick starts. As we have another yellow in Sector 1, Mr. Sandunga is around in Turn 1. We'll hop on with Thermo. Looks like we may have lost audio for the game. So I know there have been a lot of bugs here, but Looks like we don't have audio now spectating here. We're on with Razor, who's going to try to take the lean back. He goes on the outside there, coming out of turn 3. Really get the power down quickly, but Thermo is able to push by on the inside and regain the lead. Meanwhile, while all that jockeying is going on, Leaky Valve quietly finds himself in P3, trying to fight off Nathan Doan for maybe his first podium of the night. Looks like we got sound to return just by going in and out of the menu, so Leaky qualified very well throughout the entire championship run. You know, quietly maybe involved in an instant here and there, but he's got a lot of pace and definitely a shot here to make some waves in the last race. Thermo currently in the lead. He's half a second ahead of Razor. Our championship winner, Ian Krieger, is in P7. Gator P6. Big Mama Frank P5. Gator a big winner so far. He's up 7 spots. Duncan a winner as well. He's up 3 himself into point scoring P8. So appreciate your patience there. We got the poll up. Who's going to take P2? Razor, Beamer, Gator. Tell me right now in the chat who's got a shot at coming in. We're in lap 205. This is going to be the shortest race, of course. Laps around Austria are barely more than a minute. Thermo currently half a second ahead of Razor in P1, who is 2/10 ahead of Leaky in P3, rounding out your podium. Nathan struggling right now to reel in Leaky. He's got to stay within a second to be in DRS range, but it looks like he will have that gap as we come up to the first detection point. No, maybe not. Maybe I spoke too soon. Broadcaster's curse. Nathan is a second away. He is not going to get DRS after turn 1 into turn 2 and that really tricky turn 3. So Leaky in a really good position to potentially lock up a podium. We'll hop on with Duncan. Tons of cars in front of him. A little bit of fighting going on here in turn 3. Really tough corner to get the power down. You have to do it very gingerly. He's got DRS. Everybody's got DRS ahead of that stretch in sector 2. Duncan looking to make the pass on Gator. He's coming around the outside. He's going to make a kick. Late braking. There's a Ferrari of Ian in front of him. He is going to make it stick for P7. More fighting up front. Leaky now putting some pressure on Razor, who finds himself in P2. Still 6/10 behind Thermo, even with DRS in zones, I think it was zones 1 and 2. He had it. Leaky thinking about making a move on the inside. Thought better of it as they come around the corner into the first DRS zone on the start-finish line. Razor has DRS on Thermo as well, but that gap is large. Duncan sets the fastest lap. He's currently in P7 and is going to start to put some pressure on Ian Krieger. So there's the pace that we know him for. He got caught up in a ton of incidents and now finally has a chance to try to score some solid points here based on his pace. Big Mama Frank in P5, putting some pressure on Nathan Doan. Now, Nathan doesn't have DRS. Alex gets a 10-second penalty for quarter cutting. That's tough. Yeah, he finds himself essentially out of it into turn 3. So Big Mama Frank trying to put pressure on Nathan, who's not in DRS range. So that'll be a free bonus there on the rear flap as Ian comes along on the inside and makes that stick before turn 5. And he is off and gone. Razor now, there's over a second gap between him and Thermo. No DRS there, so he'll have to fight off Leaky the old-fashioned way without any DRS, with just batteries. Only got 10%. Leaky could be in a good position here for a P2. Everybody thinking that Razor is going to get the points, come away with the P2. Beamer currently in P9. Is not really doing much to change that notion. Leaky finally makes a pass on Razor. He's been thinking about it for 5 laps. It's the last one. He makes it stick. He sees Thermo go ahead on turn 3. Really tricky to get the power down here in turn 3. He's got to maintain that gap to Razor. Razor's going to have DRS. There is one more zone, but it's really like a third of a zone until you come to the start-finish line. So this was maybe Razor's plan all along. Let Leaky have the position towards the end of lap 5, and then with minimal of the DRS zone on the last lap, make it stick. They're both pretty short on battery. Leaky will have to push extremely hard if he is going to make it stick on Razor. They got to carry a lot of speed through turns 9 and 10. Cut a lot of that curve. Leaky cut it very well, but I just think he's not going to be enough space. Razor is going to come home with P2, barely a tenth ahead of Leaky. First podium there for him. Ian with P5, Nathan Doan P4. Big Mount Frank P6, Gator P8. Must have taken that position from Duncan at the end, who finds himself P8. Beamer P9. What a showing. Just a great showcase of talent here in our community event. JBC, smart racing by Razor on the last lap. Yeah, that was clutch. I didn't even notice it until I was going on. I was like, oh man, Leaky might make this stick. And Razor with the 5-head move. He's like, yeah, whatever, dude. Thermo with the big win. Thermo, maybe you don't need lessons, dude. Maybe you're okay. That was a pretty good performance. But if you do, you know where to get at me. Buffalo Trace, D4 driver extraordinaire. Offering lessons to our D1 drivers night in, night out. Thermo with the win in Austria, P1. Razor P2. Leaky P3. Nathan Doan P4. Ian will round out your top 5, your championship winner. Yeah, Beamer, that's tough, man. You would have been P2. And we had a poll going up to see if you could. You were in the lead. You had it. Tough one in Austria. Thermo will be taking me up on coaching. Yeah, I'm available, dude. Just reach out. Big Mount Frank P6, Gator P7. Great strong for him. Driver of the day. Started P13. Duncan P8, Beamer P9, and Garrett P10. That'll do it, folks. First ever streamed community event here at ZRL the Friday before the season starts. 1 week from today, D4 will have their first race. Track change is actually going to be at Bahrain. Bahrain, there is some issues with the game in France considering some unfair penalties. So change of plans. Week 1, Season 5 is going to take place in Bahrain. First race of the season is D4, Friday night, 9 p.m. Be there, be square. We'll watch these Alfa Romeo guys dominate D4. Look out for Buffalo. Look out for Aaron G to make something happen on Friday night. Appreciate you guys joining us here on the community event as we gear up for Season 5, our biggest and best yet. Happy you all joined us. Look forward to talking to you all next week. I'm Buffalo Trace. Good evening.